It's time for Talkin Tauntauns, your Star Wars source at AIPTcomics.com.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Talkin Tauntauns. I am your host, Jim Lehane, and with me this week is Nicole Herview.
Hello.
We are super excited that we are joined today.
Go on.
Is that my moment?
I don't know. I like to throw things out there and see if they stick. So,
just edit it later. Edit it in post.
This is how it works. I cut out awkward gaps so you don't actually.
I listened to the last, like the one that we did.
Yeah.
By the way, Alex Bond's back. Hi.
Yeah, he's back.
Yes, I was going to say that. You didn't even give me a chance.
You had a
chance.
I counted it. You had 30 seconds.
Alex is back. He joined us for The Force Awakens episode.
Which I'm told was a mega hit. I'm told it was the top downloaded podcast on Spotify of the week. Is that
we
true?
Did great.
Is that?
I don't know if that's true, but it was our best.
Well, looking at our downloads, I think that is 3 times more downloads than our second most downloaded show.
That's ridiculous. What'd you do?
That's the Alex Bond bump.
Hey.
Or it's just because it's The Force Awakens.
Yeah,
and
probably.
That's what I was wondering. I actually
expected the
expected
fourth biggest movie of all time.
Yeah, The Last Jedi also got pretty good downloads.
Yes.
Oh, you guys did The Last Jedi.
We did.
Yeah,
we did all of them.
Good, you're done.
Yep,
then I have no reason to watch Rise of Skywalker for the rest of my life.
You don't. Although we changed our opinions 100% about that movie watching it again.
I watched about 40 minutes of it on TNT a few weeks ago, and I'm good.
Yeah,
well, I don't know why anybody would watch any of those on TNT ever again.
I needed something on while I was cleaning. That was it. Babu Frick is really the only reason I would ever go back to that film.
I enjoyed it again. I enjoyed it my second watch. I really enjoyed it.
I surprisingly enjoyed it. Like it was a full 360 plus 180. Like I kept spinning. I hear spinning's a good trick.
It's not that.
Spinning's a great trick.
It's not that I hate it. It's that I know it could have been better.
You're right.
And I did read the original script recently. The
fool.
Colin Trevorrow, I don't know. Interesting. Would have liked to have seen some version of that film. That services the characters better than I think Rise of Skywalker ended up.
You're right.
Yeah, I've read the script as well, and it was one of those felt like fan service sort of things.
But in a, I guess, post-Disney Plus world, what about Star Wars is not fan service these days?
That's a fact. That is a fact.
100%, yeah. I've
and I'm okay with fan service. I don't mind.
A lot of things.
I have no problem being pandered to.
Oh, yeah, pander to me. I mean, listen, what we just watched for the last hour was 100% for me, and I'm sorry I didn't watch it in the moment, but that was like, here, Nicole, we're gonna just, it's like we fed an AI stuff that Nicole Herview likes, and it spat out Twilight of the Apprentice. I think that's what just happened. That was freaking unreal.
So before we get there, we are going to talk season 2 of Rebels today, and I had made a comment when we were planning this stuff out that we could do a whole episode on just Twilight of the Apprentice, and now Nicole, after having watched it for the first time, is realizing how correct I was.
Astonishing.
Is there a rest of the season? Does anything else happen in season 2? Because I don't know.
It is what people talk about with season 2.
It's so good.
And I've heard many people say, like, Rebels is worth watching, but start at Twilight of the Apprentice.
I completely disagree. Watch the whole thing. It's so good. I mean, listen, season 2 is enjoyable, but like, what the hell? What the hell just happened?
The show does continue to get better from there.
I can't believe it, but okay, great.
In my opinion.
I'm so excited. I know what I'm doing with the rest of my day.
Jumping into the news.
Your tauntaun will freeze before you reach the first marker. Then I'll see you in hell.
Hello, what have we here?
I did want to mention a couple of things about Celebration. They have released the panel schedule, the full panel schedule. If you go to StarWarsCelebration.com, you can look up what you actually want to go to see if you are heading there. Like we talked about last time, I'm going to be on 2 of the panels, and so you can find me in there. I'm going to be on the university stage for both of them on Saturday and Sunday. So you can find me there. Also, they have released everything about the reservation system, which is basically how you would get into the major panels, the first panels of the day, which are the ticket panels. Basically, it's what they put on so people buy tickets to those specific days for the single-day tickets. And that's mostly it for Celebration. I did want to talk some news that had come up a couple weeks ago that we hadn't gotten to with our crazy schedule going on. And that is they have, I don't know if they have announced a new Star Wars game or if this is one of the games that they announced before. We're just getting more information about it, which I think that's more likely the case. And that Amy Hennig is working with Skydance New Media to create a new Star Wars game. It's an adventure game that will be a narrative-driven action-adventure game featuring an original story in the Star Wars galaxy.
Vague as anything, but go on.
Well, action-adventure pretty much tells you, I feel like it's going to be something similar to what we got with Jedi Fallen Order, kind of.
Yes, yeah, it sounds that way.
Love that game.
Plot-driven, not Battlefront.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, yes, but I just love a story in the Star Wars galaxy.
Well, original, I think, is the key.
That's fine.
Point there.
Yeah.
Well, to be sarcastic, you need to get rid of the word original so that you can harp on the sarcasm.
Just
original, but it also takes place during the original trilogy.
Sure. Yeah. Does it?
I don't know.
No, we don't. We don't have any
No
idea.
idea.
So
but it seems fairly likely.
So before we had started, you had mentioned something, Alex, about
me,
perhaps her previous work.
Oh yeah. So and this is based off nothing but some articles that I read in a video that I saw talking about it. Is that she had been involved years ago, and I can't remember the details of the game, but there was a game that was in development. People were very excited about. I think it took place vaguely in the original timeline, but at the time it was being made, like we hadn't explored much around it yet, like Rebels has. But the rumor that it may in fact be a revival of that story, updated a bit, but that it might be her return to an idea that she was very passionate about years ago that people got hyped about. That it could be maybe not completely brand new, but something that had been canceled that may in fact be revived.
So that sounds like we had talked that there was the Star Wars Underworld show, and related to that show kind of got really heavily scripted. George Lucas had written, I think, 50 scripts written for that on a 100 episode show. It was something ridiculous, and he had it all done, but it would cost too much money to make it, and so it got shelved. It's still sitting shelved somewhere. Related to that was the Star Wars 1313 video game that I believe that's what you are relating to, where we had learned that it would eventually get morphed into a Boba Fett video game that eventually would get morphed into nothing at all.
Yeah. In fact, we've never returned to Coruscant since Revenge of the Sith. As far as timeline goes, right? We've never. There's never been a Coruscant anything except Clone Wars.
Oh my god!
Did they completely drop? They were going to return to it in the aforementioned Duel of the Fates script. That the whole third act is going to take place on Coruscant, which was now a First Order thing, and what's his name? Hux was running things from there. But I don't think they went back to it wasn't. We talked about this with the Force Awakens. That's not the planet that was blown up with the New Republic.
Right.
No, you're right. We did talk about that. They were talking about blowing that up. They decided not to. I feel like we've gone back piecemeal. Like nothing major. Like comics have been in there. A couple of the books have hit there. I believe Bad Batch may have been there. Like it's just
Maybe,
just like
they might have shown
things.
it in like the updated Return of the Jedi. It might be one of those celebration planets.
It is definitely
It is
definitely in there, but that was also
Lisa Free.
before.
Yes.
That was before.
Wisa Free.
So that was released.
It's my favorite addition to Return of the Jedi.
So that edition was actually, I think Wisa Free was later, but that was added.
I broke him.
During the special edition. So that even
Yeah.
was before.
So that would have been 97
Yeah.
or when they, I guess, redid it with, because they did New Palpatine in like 2004.
Right.
Maybe it was that.
Oh my god.
No, that was, so they added that in the original special editions, Coruscant.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
So, but that, yeah, right. That things have gotten changed so many times that knowing what got changed when is a complete mess.
I just saw a fan edit of, and it said, "I can't wait for a special edition of the prequel trilogy." And it's the scene of young Boba holding Jango Fett's helmet, and then they just photoshopped a head falling out of it.
Oh! Oh no! Oh no! Oh my goodness. I do have to tell y'all, this is a very funny anecdote before we get into,
What we're here to
past
talk
the news
about.
and what we're actually here to talk about. I had a training at work. It was like on presentation skills, and they said you should bring a presentation to like work on, basically, for the training. But it doesn't have to be work. If you don't have one for work that's coming up or whatever, like it doesn't have to be work related. Do it on whatever you want. 5 guesses what I did my my presentation on. And one day, I think I should give it to all of you. Like that should be an episode, and we could post the presentation.
And
like
this is why Darth Maul should marry me.
No, you're so close. Though. What's sad is you're close. No, I did have a Darth Maul slide, and I was told it was the best part of the presentation. So
People love them all.
yes.
Well, yeah, you can go shopping at a variety of stores.
Jeez.
Cinnabon.
Cinnabon. Oh no. No, I'll just tell y'all. It was, quote, this is the title of the presentation, "The Many Redeeming Qualities of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace." I swear to God, I did a 10-minute presentation.
Many?
Yes, many. I've written articles. There's an article, actually, on AIPT.com. It's called "In Defense of the Phantom Menace," and that's pretty much the presentation. So you go read that.
My opinion of the Phantom Menace was revised by my renewed disdain for Attack of the Clones.
That's fair.
When I rewatched the prequels for the first time in a while, a few years ago, and I think it was when we were doing Nerd Jersey, I watched the Phantom Menace, got to the end, and I was like, yeah, it's, it's still not, like, great. And then I watched Attack of the Clones, and I was like, oh, this angers me. Oh, okay. So
like
Phantom
sand.
Menace, comparatively...
Like sand.
Yeah. So it does get redeemed just by how... And I recently, in preparation for Kenobi, have been slowly doing the prequels.
Oh, yeah.
Slowly just, like, space them out so I don't, like, overload at once. And I did Attack of the Clones a few weeks ago again, and it was still like...
I gotta rewatch it. But anyway, I just thought that was very funny that I was like, hello. There were 2 other people in the training, and one was about like financials, and one was like a marketing presentation, and I was like, Star Wars. And it received very well. It was great. It was
Did you
so
wear
funny.
the bald cap with the horns glued onto it?
No,
And
I
your
didn't.
face painted
I would
black?
never. I did see, fun fact, not Galaxy's Edge, the Star Cruiser is now offering face paint. Like, you could get your face painted to be an alien if that is what you choose to, like, cosplay as. Like, they will do your face paint for you. And one of the first, I was like, show me someone with Maul face paint. And they did. And I was like, thank you so much. Goodbye.
I have a lot of thoughts about, because they also sell like the Togruta head tails and
They
stuff
do,
like
yeah.
that, and I have a lot of thoughts on that that I probably don't want to say on the air.
I mean, it's fine.
No, message received.
I just wouldn't. I don't know. I don't know about all that. I don't know. Do whatever you want. That's not for me. I would if I were going with like my partner. I'd be like, hey, you should definitely get your face painted.
Be a Zabrak for the weekend,
Please for me. Just
it's
fulfill
one of those
that
like
for me,
2-week tattoos that
Oh.
like
Oh my god, you have to return to work and it still hasn't completely faded off.
No. It's fine. Anyway, I thought that was really funny.
And with our last piece of news, it is May the 4th week. And so the completely made up holiday by fans that for some reason Lucasfilm has decided to embrace
It's my
is this
anniversary,
week.
too.
It is your
It's my
anniversary.
anniversary on May the 4th.
Good for you.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. You know what we're doing?
Watching
We're
Star
going to the
Wars?
Harry Potter store.
Oh,
We're
are
going to
you?
New York and going to the Harry Potter
Oh
store.
my god, that's fun.
So, and in celebration of May the 4th, there are I think just roughly a bazillion Star Wars games on sale. Like if you go to StarWars.com, they have a post with all the Star Wars games that are on sale, and I got tired of scrolling through it. There's so
Wow.
many games, and I think a lot of them probably are Steam-related games and
Yeah.
such like that. But it
Knights
is...
of the Old Republic is on sale. I got an email about it.
I tried to play that on my computer on Steam and it didn't work. I was very bummed. I've never played that game.
They have it for iOS.
I don't have anything Apple.
I guess it just didn't work.
As Jim stares me down in the computer.
Usually that's why these games don't work on Steam.
What?
They don't have yeah.
But I know that they're releasing something on Nintendo Switch.
Yes. The remaster is coming to PS5 and
Force
the
Awakens.
Switch.
Not Force Awakens. Force Unleashed. That one.
Yes, I remember reading about that.
Cool.
Yep.
They've also announced, it seems like they're announcing a new Star Wars game every week.
They are.
So
Pretty
yeah.
much.
So the Force Unleashed is coming to Nintendo Switch, which is a rather fun game. I got it on the Wii when it first came out, and it was one of those where you actually swing the Wii like a lightsaber, and it is probably the funnest game up until that point.
That's fun, yeah.
And the most like lightsaber-ish.
I almost bought the Revenge of the Sith game for PS2 a couple weeks
yeah?
ago
Oh
because
my
that's just
God.
all, it's stupid, but it's all lightsaber stuff.
Now, is the pod racing game that was on N64 anywhere? Have they ported that anywhere? Can I play it?
I
Is my
think
The
question.
one that is actually
can.
called Pod Racer.
Yes.
Like Star Wars Episode 1 Racer.
Yeah. Like pod
Racer.
I
There's
think it
like
is.
2 of them actually. I
There's
think
Racer
and-
Revenge, which is a much shorter version of Racer. Like, basically same mechanics.
No, it was
But-
definitely pod racing, like a pod.
It was like the
specifically
classic, yes.
pod racing
It
game.
says-
I can see it in my mind's eye.
It says Episode 1 Racer is on Switch.
I don't think that's the same thing, but I'll check
It
it
is.
out.
It definitely is. That's the
The
one.
N64
The
pod
N64
racer.
was called Racer, yeah. Episode 1 Racer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at that.
I would stake my life on it.
Okay, we're gonna find out.
We're
Why
going
don't
to
you just
find out
pull
if I
out
die today.
an N64 and play it?
You're funny. I tried. I'm
No,
not
I
even
have.
kidding.
I literally
tried.
have every Star Wars console. I think
Yeah.
My,
from the
Every
Wii
Star Wars console?
or every
Every console's got a Star
Nintendo
Wars game.
console. I have almost all Star Wars games and almost all the consoles that they play on.
That's good for you, man. I tried when I was trying to play Banjo-Kazooie like 3 years ago. I tried to plug my N64, like my parents' old N64 into my TV and it won't work. It was like, no.
You need a special
Yeah.
You
connection.
would need
didn't-
an adapter, the
didn't
HDMI
do that. I
to
waited.
the... Yeah.
Actually, I played it on a TV that would take it at their house, and then I just beat the game again on Switch on stream. It was great.
I remember playing the Racer arcade game in the
Ooh,
arcade where you
yeah.
had the handles.
Oh my god, I died.
And in that
right now.
version, you could race as Sebulba, which you couldn't do on the N64.
No, you could not do that on the.
But you could
N64.
race as Sebulba in this thing.
That's so cool. I gotta find one of them somewhere.
I don't know where you're gonna fit it.
Well, I mean, I want to go to an arcade that has it.
Oh yeah,
That'd be a little easier
yeah,
Probably cheaper.
and cheaper.
yeah. More reasonable.
Yeah.
So,
I don't want to stop your dreams from happening though.
Thank you. I mean, I appreciate you, but
so for today's episode, let's get into the actual reason that we are here, and that is to
the
talk
Inquisitors.
the Inquisitors. Rebels.
That's really why we're here.
Rebels Season 2.
Yay.
Care to let me in on the secret?
Kid,
I'm about to let everyone in on the secret. All troopers, focus your fire on the Jedi.
Rebels Season 2 premiered June 20th, 2015, ran through March 30th, 2016, was comprised of 22 episodes, which is a lot of freaking episodes to watch.
It's a lot of episodes.
From the time that we recorded, because I was waiting to watch them till after we recorded Season 1. And so from Tuesday of last week to this morning, I watched all 22 episodes, which I don't watch that much TV. That was way more than I normally watch.
It's a lot of TV.
Easy watch, though.
Very easy watch.
Easy watch.
Yeah.
It moves.
There are not many episodes in this season that are scroll on my phone while playing in the background. Like every time I'd pick up my phone, I'd miss something important.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, they packed it.
They really did.
Ooh, I like that. So I'm looking at we got the Wikipedia page up for the episodes, and what I missed is that we'll probably, I don't know if we'll talk about this one, but when they get the B-Wing, the like crazy ship, the Mon Calamari mechanic is named Quarry.
Yep.
Like Ralph McQuarrie.
Oh.
I didn't notice. I didn't put that together until I saw it just in front of me. And obviously the art of this series, I'm sure you guys talked about this with season 1. Very McQuarrie.
Yeah.
Yes.
The thin lightsabers, the original design of Chewbacca is Zeb.
We didn't actually mention that, but you're right.
I didn't realize that.
So
that's fascinating.
Yeah.
If you look at the original McQuarrie design, Chewbacca is Zeb.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I'm going to have to look into that.
So they introduced the Lasat.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm looking for one very specific episode.
Twilight of the Apprentice?
No.
We'll get there.
So everyone knows. Well, so everyone knows. Nicole, for the first time, watched Twilight of the Apprentice right
like
before we recorded.
So this is what makes it difficult for me to talk about some of these things. Is doing it in a way that doesn't spoil season 3 for you.
Yeah, that's going to be really tough.
Because one of the episodes in here that I really want to talk about, the honorable ones, kicks off what I think is one of the 17.
We don't want to talk about that.
Yeah,
but we can talk about this
episode. It's the one
episode.
between Zeb and Callus, right?
Yes.
And I said this last week that I knew that this is something. I was like, this episode is not just here for no reason.
No.
Like, this is, to me, it's a large hint at Callus not being an enemy but an ally later on. Don't tell me if I'm right or not. But that's kind of my feeling, is that Callus is much more important than we think he is.
Well, it's his transformation into Hot Callus.
Yes, we did mention this. Yes, we did. Yes.
I will say he doesn't, it's not a complete turn. He's still kind of after this.
He's Agent Callus. Yeah.
Also, I didn't realize this until this watch. That dude is voiced by David Oyelowo.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure is an Oscar nominee.
He's a really good actor.
Or at least a Golden Globe.
Yeah, let me see what else.
How did they get him?
He's a great actor.
I recognized the name. I didn't know what else was in.
He definitely won awards, for being Martin Luther King Jr. in Selma. He was also, unfortunately, in the Cloverfield Paradox.
Oh, yeah, he was. That was a shame. Peter Rabbit, too.
Heard that's better than Peter Rabbit 1.
Yeah. The Lion Guard. He's Scar in The Lion Guard. Love that for him.
I mean, he's got
that's
a great
good show,
voice.
Actually.
He's got a great
Wrinkle
voice.
in Time, Cloverfield Paradox.
Yeah.
A United Kingdom.
He's Last King of Scotland. He was in. He's
Interstellar. He was in Interstellar. He was the school principal.
He was in Robot Chicken.
He played Gandalf in Robot Chicken.
So maybe he also has a prolific career as a voice actor, and they were like, bring that guy in. But he's like, Callus is a big character.
I could
Rise
just
of the
see
Planet of the Apes.
I could just see the conversation. Bring the guy from Peter Rabbit 2 in.
Yeah, right?
James Corden? No.
Not that. No, please, God, no, don't give him any more work. He's just in too much stuff, man.
Oh, yes. But yeah, he's very good. I think Callus is a very good character because of how like petty and just terrible he is. Like he really is truly truly cold.
A stain.
And
he's a stain.
Has no remorse.
None. Not a one.
And it's
so that episode is just phenomenal.
It's very good.
It's interesting how much Callus is in this. Like, compared to the Inquisitors, which we started this because of the Inquisitors are in Kenobi. We know that. We know some of the Inquisitors from the season are in Kenobi. They're not in this season very much at all.
Not really.
And even when they are, except for the first time they appear, we're kind of like thrown in. They don't show up. They are there. Yeah. Like for a few of the episodes, like we start with them, Ezra and Kanan battling. They start.
Where does that start? Blood Sisters?
Nope. They start.
Always two there are?
So they start in The Lost Commanders is when we first see, right at the end, we see the fifth brother at the end.
The fifth brother.
And then Relics of the Old Republic is when they both come in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of the big...
So shift that down. Relics of the Old Republic is when we first see them because it's part 2 of The Lost Commanders.
Yes.
And then always 2 they are is when they come in.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Seventh Sister, Fifth Brother. Seventh Sister captures Ezra and interrogates him about the whereabouts of Ahsoka, while Sabine is also captured by the Fifth Brother. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they're cool. They're really great. We talked about this last time. I mean, the Seventh Sister being played by Sarah Michelle Gellar is, like, the coolest.
Yep.
And I'm getting all the flashbacks. You weren't here, obviously, last time, so this is more for your benefit and anyone who didn't listen last week. But, like, I am figuring out that the Rebels panel I was in at New York Comic Con was definitely between like season 1 and 2 because they brought in Sarah Michelle Gellar. They were like, "Oh, we have this new character who's another Inquisitor, blah 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 blah."
Who doesn't make it to season 3? So
doesn't make it to season 3, but we didn't know that yet.
No.
And they made a whole big deal about Sarah Michelle Gellar coming in. And I almost cried. I was really excited. And then I realized that she was sitting next to her husband, and I was like, "Oh my God, they're married!" And that was big for me.
Is that when you learned they were married?
I was in the room with them when I found out they were married.
Oh wow!
Isn't that cool? I was like, "Oh, all right."
It was really awkward when she stood up and pointed. Are you guys married?
Yeah, right. I was like, "No." I looked it up real quick
for the Scooby Doo shippers in the room. What's happening here? We've been married for 10 years. Oh, okay,
that's great. No, but what's upsetting is I remember Ashley Eckstein being there, and I would have been a very different person in that room if I had known
so
Ahsoka.
None of this stuff was on my radar when this show was out, even Clone Wars.
No,
so I'd heard people talk about Ahsoka. I'd heard Kevin Smith fan casting Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka for years and years.
Oh my God!
And never until the lockdown happened, I'd never watched an episode of Clone Wars, an episode of Rebels.
Yeah, I was trying to watch it before you did, and you finished it before me.
I fired through those everything. Oh my God. I couldn't get enough of it.
Yeah, it was good. But I'm upset. I'll tell you why I'm upset. Sam Witwer was not in that room. And
well, yeah, he wouldn't have had reason to be.
Not yet, no.
Well, Sam Witwer's in season 2.
Yeah.
God bless him.
Yeah.
But only 2 episodes of it. But also, I'm also a little relieved that I'm no, he was not in that room, because I would have kicked myself so hard if I had wasn't sitting there just taking that in, because I'm already upset that I wasn't basking in the presence of Ahsoka Tano. You know, I would have kicked myself in the butt if I.
On the note of voice actors for this season,
take this from me.
We're watching Twilight of the Apprentice just an hour ago, and Vader shows up, and Nicole turns to me and goes, "So is that James Earl Jones?"
Yeah, I did. I said that.
Yeah, that was him in the Siege of Lothal as well.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I feel like I looked that up.
It's just what Rebels does really well is pulling on the original talent. You have Frank Oz returning to be Yoda. Yoda's appearance in this show is haunting.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. I don't mean oh my God, it's Yoda. I mean, he looks terrifying.
He's
his teeth. It's his teeth.
It's oh my God. It's nightmare
And I'm
fuel.
looking at his teeth, going, the animation is just a little off.
Yeah, his face is a little too round, and he just kind of looks like he looks like you left a Yoda figure in the sun too long.
Yeah. He's a goofy looking guy.
So regarding James Earl Jones, in his older age, has actually just decided to F it and does whatever he wants to, because he's actually speaking of the Lion Guard, he's on the Lion Guard also.
Yeah.
Mufasa comes in. My daughter loved it, and I liked it too, but Mufasa
watch it.
He comes in as the Cloud Mufasa, and it's James Earl Jones that voiced it. And you're just thinking of James Earl Jones saying some of these lines, and you're like, I just can't imagine what it is, like, if he's just saying them, or if he's like really thinking, like, what am I saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like James Earl Jones saying Ahsoka. I was like, whoa!
Yeah. But it's like, so it's easy to imagine when you're thinking about James Earl Jones and all of the variety of takes they would have from the original trilogy and his return for Revenge of the Sith, and that, like, when he shows up in Rogue One, you're like, they could have cobbled together some lines, because why would James Earl Jones come back and do this for a 2-minute scene?
Because James Earl Jones.
But it is him. And then the same thing here, where it's like, I know the technology now exists to, like, kind of modulate Mark Hamill's voice to make him young Luke again.
Yeah.
But you hear him talk about Lothal and the Rebels and Ezra Bridger and saying Ahsoka's name, and you're like, I mean, I can imagine a world where we just AI James Earl Jones' voice to be Vader, but, like, no, he shows up. He does it. He commits to it. It is the classic menacing Vader. Mm-hmm. Also, important note that I think goes kind of unappreciated when you think about Star Wars of this time, but Vader is not a known figure in the Empire amongst many. Like, he's Palpatine's secret weapon, kind of.
Yeah. Like, they don't quite know who he is in the beginning.
My question is, like, kind of general out to the world. Ahsoka does not seem to even know his name. Like, when
she keeps calling the Sith
him
Lord in the
the
beginning.
Sith Lord. She's like, I gotta look up the Sith Lord, and she never says his name. Nope. And it seems like one of those, like, Kanan and Ezra ran into this guy. Like, you're right, he is not a known entity. He is clearly not the poster child for the Empire, like we are led to believe.
Well, I don't think that really happens in the world of Star Wars until after the Death Star blows up, because he kind of assumes the control that Tarkin had. Tarkin goes down with the Death Star, and now Vader has his own Star Destroyer, and he's promoting admirals as he chokes out other admirals. Yeah. He has authority by the time Empire Strikes Back is around, but, like, in A New Hope, he is the guy that's leading the charge on the Tantive 4 and finding out information about the rebel location. But he is doing that as an agent of the Empire, not as a leader within it, is my impression.
Yeah.
So, kind of jumping back a little, Nicole.
Hi.
Were you aware that Maul was in Rebels at all?
Yes, 100%. I would be silly if I didn't, go through all of Clone Wars and he didn't, like, in the desert look at the sky and scream Kenobi. And I was like, well, that wasn't no, I knew this is Rebels. Like, I knew he was in it. He's also in the art.
Yeah, you can't really avoid that.
He's in the art
when you
for
go
Disney
to Disney
Plus. He's like
Disney
right
Plus,
there.
Yeah.
And I also know how he dies. So yeah, I knew
you
he was in
seen
it. Also,
how he dies, right?
I've seen the scene. I've seen Sam Witwer talk about it a lot. So
okay.
I know it's coming. I know kind of like how it happens and whatever.
I did too. It's still so well earned.
I'm so excited. I'm like not excited because I know I'm gonna sob like a baby, but like
you will.
I'm amped to like watch his arc close. But also he came over, I'm pointing at Alex, and the little art, I guess, like the cover art really for the last 2 episodes, the Twilight Princess Part 1 and 2.
Yeah.
He's in Part 2, and I was like, oh, Maul's coming. I was like, I guess this is why people are excited for me to see this. And he was like, and then I watched it and I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Well, because I was also like, it's not that they hold back and like, oh, Maul's here.
No,
like,
they don't. They just
a huge plot twist. Like 5 minutes into the episode,
he's
you're
there.
like, he has an
I made a
revealed
noise.
himself.
I
Like that's
said
him.
something. I made some. I exclaimed, and then I went through a whole thing of: is he doing a Yoda? Like, oh, I'm so like old and sad and useless and stupid. Is he doing a Yoda right now? And like, kinda, but like not really. It does really feel like he kind of gets his wits about him slowly. I looked at Alex at one point and was like, he's not using his cane anymore. And then 5 seconds later, I was like, is that his freaking lightsaber? And it was like a whole thing. And then it was, and I was very happy. And so, yeah, it was a journey. I just went on a journey and I'm not okay.
So, it is his lightsaber, and he holds his hand over the emitter to
yeah!
walk with it.
I was like, yeah, because he's a stupid boy. He's my stupid boy. I love him.
Well, like, even, like, talking about that last episode, Maul is only one like aspect of that last two part, like the
God.
like it keeps building up, and it's one of those like of a season. Like I said when we were talking last season, this season is better than last season. I love last season. This season is better. You start off with Vader attacking the rebels. But you can't have Vader in the whole thing because we don't want a series of Scooby-Doo episodes where the villain gets away.
But do we?
Yeah.
Because you got Fred and Daphne, so...
but we don't want, like, the villain getting away or the heroes getting away, like, running away each time. So we need some, like, that's where the Inquisitors come in. And we have the Inquisitors playing the villains, and even they are not in it that much. So we have Callus playing the villain. And...
Yeah.
We really get the growth of these characters to the point of the last 2 episodes where things change. Things change hardcore.
You think? Yeah.
The first episode that we really get deaths of major characters in the series. Besides,
and pretty brutal. Like Maul's takedown of the Inquisitors is brutal.
Well, the 7 sisters and the 5th brother, and then other guy
is the
which is
the
embarrassing.
8th brother.
He's the 8th brother. Yeah, it actually says it. I watched it with subtitles. He's the only one that actually gets a name on it.
I think his death is one of the funniest in Star Wars because he looks at his broken ass lightsaber and he tries to take off, which also using the spinning lightsabers as helicopters is so dumb.
I love
we brought that up a couple weeks ago, and Nicole looked at JJ and I like, that is the dumbest thing I ever heard. We're like, wait for it.
I love it.
But he looks at it. He's like, oh, my lightsaber is malfunctioning. I can't stay and fight, but I sure can use it to fly.
And then it like breaks in half within half a second.
Just give that
and then
to
he
a
just
Darwin
like
Award.
falls, and you're looking at like the rest of them like watching like.
Yup. That would have been a moment for a Wilhelm scream.
Oh, God. Yeah, that would have been a great Wilhelm scream. But I can just picture Maul and Ahsoka standing next to each other watching it and being like,
well, that happened.
That idiot. So good. I did say this, and it's very interesting to watch it for the first time, knowing what happens in Clone Wars Season 7 between Maul and Ahsoka. Mm-hmm. And I do feel like if we had gotten that first, that scene would have played out a little different because, like, they know each other. Like, it's not just like Ahsoka's like, oh my God, that's Maul. They know each other. And like, there should have been a little more camaraderie there. It's there, but like, and she like trusts him a little bit, which is about as much as he deserves. And it's just like,
because like I said, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
Back in the Siege of Mandalore, he's not wrong.
I don't think
anything
he's wrong
that's going on
about anything. I think his means to an end are questionable, but him being like, I am going to take a battle station and go screw up the Emperor's day is great. I love that for him. And I love his like lack of the way he's like, I am not a Sith, like several times it makes me so happy.
And Ahsoka, they're like counterpoints because she keeps saying, I am not a Jedi.
I am no Jedi.
Yeah.
So it happened when Vader said something about like, oh, a Jedi wouldn't whatever. And I said, say I am no Jedi, and then she did, and I was very happy. And it was the best moment. Like, but we're getting ahead of ourselves.
So I can bring it back.
Bring it back.
Talking about ties to that last arc of Clone Wars and how things would have changed.
Yes.
When we meet Captain Rex again, he refers to the fact that he had his chip removed ahead of Order 66. And that they had
doesn't say it just like that. Like it's you're right.
The implication is that he knew
And I brought
that
up.
He took the information from Fives, removed his chip, and was unaffected by Order 66.
Yeah,
Not quite.
No.
He's like,
happened.
I did not attack my Jedi, is what he said.
Funny, because we saw him do it.
He held back.
He tried. Listen, it's horrifying.
Yeah.
That part of my favorite part of Clone Wars is terrifying.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And the impact of that is not like missed out on this show. So like Kanan meeting Rex and being like, nope, not this guy.
Yeah.
And we're 15 years past Order 66, and Kanan's grown up, and he has no reason to have gotten over that. He would never believe that he would meet a clone trooper again. Right. So to have to dig all that up and still learn to trust this person, and I think that's a big part of this season is the development of characters and the relationships and their trust in each other, because we have our core 5 ghost crew. Yeah. But then you have, from the larger universe of people being brought in and them being part of the fold of the Rebel Alliance now, big part of the season is them kind of learning to work as a greater organization than just the 5 of them taking on jobs and working for scraps and just trying to survive. And I think that's where a lot of the strength comes from, is their development. Well, that's in that regard.
Well, that's the whole show shifted to exactly what you're saying. Season 1 was, Dave Filoni even said this, I wanted a show where the characters could stand on their own. And so he developed the show where the characters stand on their own. And we even talked about my biggest problem with The Mandalorian and Bad Batch was the random spotlight character of the week. We didn't get that very much in Season 1. We got Lando, which is probably the most egregious of that in Season 1. Season 2, we got a lot more of these characters, but now we're also trying to tie them into the larger rebellion. And so you get characters like Leia. Hondo is probably the most out of the blue character from
it is,
past.
But I love it because I love Hondo.
But
Hondo's great.
Like Lando comes back real briefly, kind of in hologram here. We don't get a lot of them, but I was kind of thinking, I'm like, we get a lot of new characters, and I'm like, if this was made now, those new characters wouldn't exist, and we'd be getting cameos in their spots. Like Ketsu, I feel, would be a cameo role. Quarry would be a cameo role, and things like that.
But that they come into the fold as things progress, I think, is one of the developing strengths of the show as it goes on, is that they aren't one-off characters that show up out of nowhere. Even like Fen Rao starts what is kind of an extended arc in this season.
Yeah, and he would be not a they would pull someone in that we already knew, probably with the name Vizsla.
Right.
Pre or post.
Yes. Mid Vizsla?
Mid Vizsla?
Yeah.
Present Vizsla?
Now Vizsla. God help us. I loved Leia's little bit, by the way.
That's exactly where I was about to.
God, it was so good.
Yeah, and a really cool idea that she has a role in the Empire at this time.
Yeah, really cool.
When we meet her in A New Hope, she is double dealing, but she is very much part of the rebellion and keeping up airs that, I'm doing stuff for the Imperial Senate, and we're going to Alderaan.
And that's where it collapses,
cool here.
Is A New Hope.
Right, but that she's able to navigate that, and yes, she's working with the rebels, but she has some kind of authority to tell this Imperial agent, why are you parking my ship here? Yeah. You're going to give me your shuttle instead now. And he's like, I can't piss her off, can I? No. Oh, no. It's a lot of fun, and also, really effectively played.
Yeah.
And I think a pretty cool starting point for that character. Now I know that we may get some shade of what Leia is up to as a young child in Kenobi. I feel might be. We've seen Luke in the trailer, so I feel like there's gonna be something.
The question,
because Jimmy Smits is in it, right?
I would say we'd probably get Leia more with the Andor series because
the more I think about the Andor series, the more I'm hyped about it.
I think it's gonna be cool.
It's just. They're trying to keep Luke and Leia essentially apart because you do not put all your eggs in one basket.
No,
it's really
you can't have them cross before they do.
Yeah, right.
It would undersell everything. The impact of the actual trilogy, and I don't think that's people say what they want about Disney Star Wars, and they're going to just ruin the legacy for more money. No, I don't think they would tread on the original. They just will further flesh it out.
Yeah, I think it's.
But
that's
even
accurate.
like regardless of what we know of the storytelling, characters in the moment do not want them together because like you do not put the president, the vice president in the same room because like you do not want your only two hopes to get slaughtered.
That is true. That was the whole reason they were separated to begin with.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But excellent character work. I do get excited when those moments happen in Rebels because I feel like they're handled very well and like they make sense. They're not so ham-fisted. But yeah, it was. Oh my god, I'm just still. There
were a few moments when I was watching. So like the episode where they are rescuing the children that the Inquisitors are after.
Yes.
And I'm watching the episode and I'm like, am I misremembering because I like sped run Clone Wars and Rebels during lockdown? But like, didn't this happen in Clone Wars?
Yes.
And the whole time, like, it must not. Like, I must be mistaken. And then at the end, Ahsoka says, "Oh, the Sith were doing something similar in the Clone Wars with Count Dooku." And I was like, lamp shading.
There it is. Yes.
Good.
Good. Hey, use lamp shading. Yay.
That's probably for me the worst episode of the season. Like it was just like
it has some plot contrivances that bother me. Like when Ezra escapes with the kid and says, "We'll take you back to whatever the planet is. You'd like that there, wouldn't you?" And then the droid comes down, has recorded the whole thing. Like,
so
why would you give so much detail to a kid that doesn't understand you?
Yeah.
Well, that's it. For like thinking of the overall plot in the Clone Wars, they tried to steal children. They were foiled. Oh no. Here, they're trying to steal children. They were foiled. Oh, no. What is keeping them from doing it again? Literally nothing. Like, the bad guys are still there. Nothing is stopping them from doing it again. You foiled them in one episode. Good job.
The entire thing is for them to find out where the base is so that they can escape.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's probably the weakest episode. But I'd say, like, coming in the latter half of the season, probably the last quarter of the season, I love almost everything about it. I know you had problems with the Forgotten Droid, Nicole.
I don't even have problems with the Forgotten Droid. The Forgotten
you just wanted to move on to get to the end.
Listen, let's put it this way: the Forgotten Droid was fine, and this is how you know it was good because I don't like droid episodes. I've said this many times.
You're not gonna like that show coming out of Droid Story.
No, the one arc I skipped in Clone Wars was a droid arc.
Oh, that's George Lucas's favorite arc.
I know. I skipped it. I said no. I will go back and watch it. So I have
yes, we will.
It is silly, but I actually really like it for the. It does kind of like humanize the droid, which is kind of fun. Yeah. But
are we talking about the one with like the little guy?
Yeah.
Because I watched that.
So.
I watched that. There's another one.
Oh, there's another.
There's another like 2 or 3 episode droid arc that I skipped.
Oh.
That I was like, this is just dumb.
Duel of the Droids.
So I skipped it. I don't remember. This is how I just remember saying I skipped these 3 episodes or 4 episodes or 2 episodes, whatever. And I was like, I'll go back and watch them one day. But I just wanted to get to the good stuff.
We are definitely going to go back and watch it.
Great.
So I don't remember much of season 1 of Rebels, but from my memory, there was an episode that involves like C-3PO and R2-D2
yes.
in convoy with maybe Bail Organa.
I didn't care.
Yeah, I remember not. I remember seeing that and being like, ooh, we're really stretching here.
But I'll tell you what, I liked this one. I really enjoyed it. I liked the story. I liked that droid.
I liked AP5.
Yeah, AP5 was cool. I love Chopper. I love Chopper.
Chopper's the best droid in all of Star Wars.
He's great.
I'll die on that hill. He's the greatest.
I agree with you. I'm one to agree with you. So I liked that episode. What I didn't like was the one after it.
Oh,
the Mystery of Chopper
spider
Base.
one.
I hated that. I was like, there's no point. And I said this to Alex. I was like, they're coming back, right? Like this has to come back around. Those little spider boys. I'm like, that has to be used
around.
later.
I don't remember how much the spiders come back. These are the same Macquarie spiders that we see in The Mandalorian.
That's what I was wondering.
Which also
very different terrain.
Yeah, which also I could also do without. They're not as terrible here for an arachnophobe like me than they are in The Mandalorian, but they're terrible in both instances.
Yeah. That's
So
bad.
when that episode was out, I was like, damn, like Dave Filoni's really got this monster movie fix. He's had it since the Clone Wars, and he has been able to channel it. But I understand as an arachnophobe, you might be like, ugh. But it is like, it's pretty cool. Like,
it is cool
in that show.
Yeah.
Here, it's not much of consequence.
Yeah.
Like Rex is captured and then Rex is found.
That one person dies, I think.
She never comes back.
She
right?
never comes back.
The alien pilot?
She just appeared. Oh, I did want to bring up. I find it hilarious. I don't know if you guys know this, but do you realize that a lot of the random other characters, the Imperials, always have their hats pulled down low. All the pilots always have their helmets. It's because they're same models. They just can't make other models. It's too expensive to make other models, so they just put hats on all of them.
But it does.
Fine.
It's also an effective
Fire.
way of like illustrating the Empire's makeup is like it is very cut and dry,
Yeah, it's
like
the
kind
same
of
people.
template of that person that they've completely brainwashed to follow. Like it doesn't matter who's under the hat, so it works in universe and also for the animators to be like, all right, we're just gonna copy paste these guys in.
It's very obvious with the Empire. With the Rebels, it was more obvious to me because I was like, they've never had those blast shields down. Like I was just very
and they would
confused.
never like putting out the on the speaking of the Chopper Base episode, putting out those sensors. Why are you wearing your helmet?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
right.
That's like
what's going on.
Like that is the no
Well,
nobody in their
OSHA
right
protocols.
mind. What was that?
It's Empire OSHA.
It's just the rebel has to abide by certain guidelines for safety.
right.
And
It's OSHA. It's fine.
And that's all they had. It's you got to wear the full head
The
helmet.
one
yes,
helmet.
at all times. If you're on shift, you're wearing your helmet with
You
the blast
must.
shield down.
Yes. Ridiculous.
As you
No,
scream, get carried off into
really-
the darkness by
I
a
was
giant
like,
spider.
this episode ain't coming back around. I don't feel like in a big way, but I guess I'm wrong.
So it has ties as far as like the development of Ezra's connection with nature and with animals.
Aminals.
You said aminals,
I
and
did.
it threw off my brain as I'm trying to say the word.
Because they're not our animals.
No.
They're a little different. They're
But, like,
aminals.
so his connection with the Purrgil, who are super weird.
So weird.
I don't understand. I still don't understand Purrgils, even knowing that they exist ahead of when they're introduced here. Living things that can channel into hyperdrive. Weird.
The Purrgils are one of those. So one of the panels that I'm doing for Celebration is basically the wildlife of Star Wars, and we're putting together kind of like a David Attenborough type
documentary.
Yeah, but that's what we're putting together. And so I, working with Melissa Miller, who had been on the show before, I'm capturing all the clips, and we're kind of picking out what we want. And the Purrgils are like super huge, not only because that episode kind of highlights them extensively. They are all over that
I
episode.
liked that episode.
But
they become very important.
I'm sure they do.
To the development and resolution of the show.
Unknowingly important. Like it is one of those like the TIE Fighter in season 1. Like things get thrown like spaghetti on a wall, and the Purrgils get thrown like spaghetti on a wall. And a lot of it right now is, you're right, just Ezra's growth in the Force, and the spiders are important in that aspect because it shows him that no, he is not as all powerful. He's a teenager, and anybody who knows teenagers thinks they know everything, and it's kind of one of those things where he learns that he does not know everything, despite him constantly reiterating that fact later.
So here's a question I got for you regarding, you mentioned TIE fighters. The walkers that the Imperials use in this show, which is set 3 years before A New Hope.
They are not the same walkers in Empire.
Right. The ATST design completely changes. And it's a little strange and kind of like they really completely revamped that design in just like 3 to 4 years from whatever this is. That looks like a Cyclops thing, and a little weirdly proportioned.
Yeah.
Well, you have a galaxy-spanning enterprise. They probably have different models around anyway.
I guess,
right. These might be the old ones. Who knows?
So, like, the AT-AT walkers are not the same ones. The ones in this show are a lot taller
than
the ones we see in Empire.
Where are the gorilla walkers? I see them.
They're only in The Last Jedi. I don't think...
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was like, I know I just looked at them.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
And I was trying to, because I was, Battlefront 2 has...
the guerrilla walkers?
Yeah, and the crate battles. If you,
yes.
But like one of the assault things is if you're on the First Order side, you are trying to guide the walkers into the base.
Yeah.
And they're just, they really are those giant, like, gorilla paws. But everything above the, let's call it the wrist, is
the same.
Just an AT-AT.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so should we get into Twilight of the Apprentice and then, because we're
is it time?
We're around time.
Can we start with the what's it called, the honorable ones, and then just lead into it, because
sure.
I love that episode, and I think it's like
let's
a
chat
top,
about the honorable
top
ones.
10 episode of Star Wars.
It's so good.
So yeah, we can. I
love it. I love it.
Is.
I think that the two performances are great. I think it's the best version of that kind of arc of like setting up a redemption, but not like complete heel turn. It's more about mutual respect and learning to survive together.
Yeah, it's an actually realistic turn.
And the pairing of Callus and Zeb is just such a long time coming. It's his disdain for the Lasat species, and Zeb holding Callus specifically responsible for his trauma.
Yeah.
And then having to really quickly be like, we need each other to survive.
Yeah.
And by the end, when Callus has no reason to not kill Zeb, as they've escaped the cave and they can work the transponder, he's still like, give me your hand.
Yeah, it's so good. It was like just the beginning of empathy. Like a little seed of empathy in both of them. Let's be real.
What really is. It's
so
like,
cool.
It's one of those, you need to sit down with your enemy and realize that you're not that different.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yes.
It was just
and they talk several times about like, okay, so the transponder is just for anybody to hear. Like, it depends on who comes to get us first.
Yeah.
But there's never a fear for either of them of like, ooh, my people aren't going to show up first.
Yeah, no.
And when the ghost comes down and Zeb is like, we'll treat you fairly.
Yeah.
We might throw you in a cell, but like...
you'll get a fair trial.
Yeah, and you'll eat. And he's like, no, I'm going to take my chances with the Empire. And he shows up and he's like, Admiral. And they're like, Agent Callus. And he keeps walking.
Yeah, that's it.
And then Callus is like, man, they really don't
They don't give
care.
A single you-know-what.
Well, that's it. Like, and he sees them hugging Zeb.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a stark contrast, like, between the two the groups. And you see in him also, like, what Zeb brings up. It's like, where did all the Geonosians go? Which is a great tie-in with Rogue One and everything that we're going to find out later about the Death Star. And it's like, where did all the Geonosians go? And he's like, they're gone. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe
and
you
Rex
should
is like,
look
well,
into that.
hold on, because there are billions of them. How could they all be gone?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what the Empire does. They have a use for you, and then they do not.
And then they don't. Yeah. It's very intense.
And maybe you should look into that. And it's one of those, like, that's going to be a little kernel in his brain that kind of sits there.
Yes, it is. It is.
But then Callus also telling Zeb, like, look, I'm not responsible for, like, I took credit for what happened to the Lasat, but it wasn't me. He tells him, like, the true story.
Yeah.
And not to spoil anything, but it goes down this long road for the two of them that doesn't resolve immediately.
No.
It's not the next time we see Callus, he is, like, completely disillusioned. It takes a little bit. But
which is realistic.
Right. And it is that little kernel of, like, I'm going to give this guy some kind of relief, and, like, I kind of understand where this giant, crazy purple creature comes from.
Yeah.
Mentally.
It's kind of like Inception, but, like, real. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Of, like, this idea is so strong, it's going to grow until it actually has a gigantic impact on your life. It's interesting.
And then immediately following this is the episode with the Temple on Lothal.
That's I wanted to bring that up, and that one,
Shroud of Darkness.
Yeah, that one feels so much like it runs into Twilight of the Apprentice without the other episodes in between. You're like, I'm watching
100%.
it because you like also have the B story or the other story with Hera and Cam Syndulla, Cham Syndulla, who we know from the Clone Wars, and like we didn't know they were related, but obviously like last names being the same.
Oh, that was a very intense one.
And then in Bad Batch, we see
them
the
all
whole
together.
family.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I wanted to bring up. We get so many callbacks to Clone War, what they later did in Clone Wars and the Bad Batch, because we see the time when they're looking for with Saw Gerrera. They call back to the time when they're with Saw Gerrera. They call back to the Siege of Mandalore. And like, you're right, things are like a little different than what they anticipated because they made this first, but it is so many callbacks to things that hadn't happened yet.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I did like, real quick, the fact that Hera went into like this like French accent like with her dad, and
I remembered that
it hurt.
It's a lot heavier than I remembered when I first watched Rebels. Like she is just French accent all the way when she's talking just to him. But when she talks to him,
and in the middle of a conversation, she just.
But when she talks to him in a room with others, she is just Hera.
Well, that's because she was getting upset, and I had heard Vanessa Marshall talk about it. Like Dave Filoni called her up, like, "What do you think Hera would revert back to her childhood accent if she's in the heat of the moment?" And she's Vanessa Marshall's like, "Yeah, probably. Like if she's really riled up, like with her father, like she would." And they had practiced that, and so you're right. It works. It goes from her normal Vanessa voice, and it like over the course of the argument, like you're right, it is noticeably French, and it's
I have been told when I speak to my parents who are English and Australian that I pick up a bit of an accent when I talk to them.
Yes,
it does not come out otherwise.
Do you say good day?
Yes, but that's beside the point. That's completely unironically. I might say good day to people occasionally. But yeah, so it is something that like I buy into as far as when you are back in that place and that mindset and that like original mode of yours, because I'm sure before I was socialized, I had an accent as the only people I was learning speech from were my British and Australian parents. That reversion to something that you would never actually remember, completely buy into it, but that accent be heavy.
Yeah, it'd be heavy. Yeah, I mean, it was a moment. I was like this, and that's just to illustrate how high level this show is, while also being like a kid's show.
Well, that's just, like kids would.
There are just moments, like I said to Alex while watching Twilight of the Apprentice. Like Ezra has these moments where I just looked at Alex and I was like, I love when I say my thoughts out loud to myself, but it's like, you have to feed this to children, right? And it's just
like, need I remind you, it's rated TV Y7.
Yes, and I was just like, it's so easy to forget that when you are watching this absolute masterpiece in front of your eyeballs. Like, I am going to regularly watch those last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars and these 2 episodes of Rebels, like, as a film. Well, like, it's going to happen.
Like, throwing in there the, like we were saying with Shroud of Darkness, going into the temple. Like, I told you the Grand Inquisitor would be back. You didn't expect him to be here. Right. I know you didn't.
No, I did not. No, thank you for that. I love him. I love him. Jason Isaacs. I love him.
I'm a little bummed he's not coming back for Kenobi.
Thank you so much. This is what I was like, he's right.
Well, I love that.
I don't think he wanted to.
I don't think
I love in this like role that we are seeing the Inquisitor as the good guy. Like, it's before his turn. It's basically just his Force presence. And it's like, this is what he was back in the day, during the Clone Wars, not the evil Inquisitor. And it's such a stark contrast between the two characters when they're really the same character.
Yeah. And interestingly, the last time, this is the last we see of the 7th sister and the 5th brother before Twilight of the Apprentice, and they get rushed by temple guards, and then there's a blinding flash of light, and then they're just on Malachor.
Yep.
Well, what happened?
Yeah. But also,
was that like they were overcome by the Force and blackout?
Who knows?
Like, the temple is also interesting, that now the Empire, like, was the temple destroyed? Like, was, like, like, yes, I know what happens in the future, but we don't know at this point. There's so many questions about the end of this season. Like,
yes.
I was like, what the living hell just happened?
Yeah. So, well,
let's do it. Let's
do it.
Oh, you.
Yes, I wanted to speak on Yoda and his presence and his acknowledgement that of what people may forget when they think about Yoda is that yes, that look on Yoda's face is that he is kind of majorly responsible for the downfall of the Jedi.
Yes.
And like he acknowledges in here that they were not meant to lead an army, that it was foolish of them to get involved in that larger conflict.
Thank you.
And it does kind of reconcile that what you think of now when you're like, this dude is in no way a general. He says in Attack of the Clones, I'm going to go to Kamino and find out what's going on with this army. Yeah. Shows up with them, goes to a command post, says, here's tactically what we should be doing to prevent this escape and the retreat from Geonosis. Yeah. And now in this vision, post everything that went on, he's had 15 years to ruminate on Dagobah. He's like, yeah, that was a mistake.
Yeah, I goofed.
We never should have been involved.
I had an oopsie.
Yeah.
I had an oopsie poopsie.
And then, as everyone's leaving the temple and Ahsoka feels his presence and turns around, he just friggin' waves at her. And it's so weird to me because Yoda's never done a casual thing in like 900 years. And the fact that he's just sitting on a branch and he looks at Ahsoka and is like, hey.
Hey, buddy.
I
didn't, have any part in you turning your back on the only thing you ever knew in your whole life. I didn't have anything to do with that. Hello.
I think that is a lot more of the time constraint. Like, I would have loved to have Yoda and Ahsoka, but they wanted to limit the amount of time, like the show writers. Yeah. Like, we need to limit the amount of time they are in this temple because we don't want them to have too many answers. Ahsoka's there for one reason and one reason only. Who is this Sith Lord? That is what she's there for. She's not there to talk to Yoda.
Right.
And so
they need to get the location of where they can find out answers, and it's Malachor, and that's what we need.
Because they really don't find any answers as of yet. I'm sure that's coming. They get a holocron. That's fine. But Yoda is like, hey, go to Malachor, and he must know that what's about to happen is you're going to let Maul back out into the universe because he's kind of stuck for a minute. And then he's like,
we don't
okay,
really
bye, I'm
know.
Taking that TIE fighter.
Like he says he's been there for years. That could be complete lies. We literally don't know.
We also don't know what happened after Solo. So he is the head of
oh my God.
Black Dawn or Crimson Dawn.
Yeah.
And then he is on Malachor as a feeble old man.
Love him. I don't think he's a feeble old man at all because he fights
and whether that's because he taps back, he has reason now to tap into his
come right back.
Rage.
Yeah, because if he was sitting there alone, we know what happens to Maul when he's alone for too long, and it ain't cute.
Well,
so,
we also know that this Inquisitor is hunting him. So how long?
And they call him the Shadow.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
If the Inquisitors are hunting, like we've seen Kanan and Ezra like constantly be harassed by the Inquisitor. So if this one Inquisitor is hunting Maul, how long was he really there?
Probably not long. It's probably all nonsense.
Like it's probably like days. Like he probably crashed and his ship got destroyed or something because he steals the Inquisitor's ship.
He do.
Well, they're not using it.
The Inquisitor's ship with the hole in it, by the way. Because the Inquisitor cut a hole through it.
Yeah. He could do anything. But yeah, it's like Yoda was like, hey, go get him, unleash his butt on the universe, and then also like get this holocron, and also like Vader and Ahsoka are gonna like have a thing, and everything's gonna blow up. And Yoda was just like, I'm gonna blow it all up again. You're all happy? No. And also Kanan is gonna lie, because I said to Alex, the last thing Kanan says to Hera before he leaves to like go do this is, we'll see each other again.
Oh.
I know it. He never sees her again. Which is really sad. Well, I don't know that. Who knows what happens? But he's blind.
I was wondering what your thoughts were if his blindness was permanent.
Who knows? I don't know. I'm not gonna listen. For now, he can't see anything.
But he's
I've also seen
like
the images of him with like white eyes.
Yeah,
so
we also
I think he's blind.
Like at this point, he is now a Jedi Knight. He gets knighted in the temple, which he
was knighted.
Right,
yeah.
Which we've had no Jedi Knights. He just kind of went off on his own. So we now have
Padawan had to figure it out.
So he finally gets knighted, which is super cool. I think that's a great, tremendous like character arc for him from the beginning of the series, where he didn't know anything. Like he didn't know if he could do this, to the point where he's now confident enough in his ability to probably mess up Ezra completely that he is can be a knight.
Well, Ahsoka doesn't believe that because she says Ezra will be fine. I know that because you taught him.
Yeah.
So a nice little like gratification of his efforts, and like at that time in the galaxy, they're pretty sure that they're all the Jedi have left.
Yeah.
Even Ahsoka says, like, there are no Jedi. You and your Inquisitors saw to that.
Yeah, there is nothing. There are none left. And
somewhere in there now, years after this, with the development of other stories, we know that potentially there is Cal Kestis kicking around.
Yeah,
we know Obi-Wan's alive.
Yeah, depending on the story needs, there's probably millions of Jedi still out there.
Right.
and
like
they
we
started with
10,000,
and now there's millions because we needed the stories.
yeah, potentially. Like we talked about with Force Awakens, like the scale of like Force users, it's not just specifically Jedi and Sith. And it's not just like former Jedi and former Sith when you're talking about Maul and Ahsoka, but like I think that there could be, the Force wants to manifest itself however it needs to be balanced. And if that means that it is present in a person that is not quite as skilled or utilizing it in the same way that Sith and Jedi would be, those people exist. The Inquisitors would definitely be interested in them. Yeah. The Emperor would definitely be interested in those people. Yeah. Any sense that the Force exists in anybody is probably grounds for death in their eyes.
Probably.
But yeah, I think that there is something interesting to be said when we're watching this and like there are no Jedi left, and we're like,
you liar.
Kinda.
Grogu's around here somewhere.
True.
Yeah. I just there's so much to be said for how similar, but on the other side, Maul and Ahsoka are, and why they're so phenomenal anytime they're on screen.
Here's why Nicole ships Maul.
I do not even a little bit. I just think they're a great team, and they're also my two favorite characters in all of Star Wars, and it's probably for the same reasons.
Dropping of half-timer. We got two Jedi and a part-timer or something.
Part-timer.
I'm like,
great.
Oh.
I was like, Maul's got jokes.
Yes.
Maul's got jokes. Like, it made
so
me
good.
so happy. And also, anytime he says Lady Tano, I lose my mind. Because I'm like, this man has so much respect for her. It's phenomenal. Like, and it all, I think, comes back to the fact that he was raised where he was and with Mother Talzin and all of that stuff. And the fact that they are like a matriarchy and the guys are like kind of just there, and he's even though he wasn't raised there, inherently that is in him, which I love that about him so much. I just think that they are so fascinating as like a dichotomy, like a different kind of dyad, almost. Not literally, but almost.
Yeah.
That they are just like on these two opposite sides of like, I was a Sith and now I'm not, and I am no Jedi, and it's just like...
They're mirrors of
we're
each
the
other.
same. They really are like very similar, and every time they're on screen together, it's like, just keep being a team. It's like my favorite thing. And we get so much of that in Twilight of the Apprentice. And yes, Maul has jokes. Maul is fascinating throughout these two episodes.
The first episode of the two, when we're going through Maul, you kind of like get the hint that it's Maul. You kind of get him in the shadows. You're like,
immediately. I was like, there he is.
Yeah.
Well, like general public, like when you first watch it, like that, it seems like it's Maul, but you kind of build up to it.
Yeah, they took me for my mother. They murdered my brother.
Yeah.
They used me as a weapon, and they cast me
that's when
aside.
he says he's Maul, but before that, you just see him in the cloak and the shadows.
The hood.
Also,
I love the
great
hood.
Performance, because you definitely buy that this dude hasn't spoken to anybody in a while.
Oh yeah, Sam is killing it in this. He always does.
He
but his voice work is excellent.
Yeah, and he
episode.
builds up as a character throughout the episode, to the point where they're walking out of the temple, they're watching everybody fight on the outside. And I just texted, because I watched it this morning as well, or rewatched it this morning. I texted Nicole, what fun.
What fun.
And Nicole's like, what is this?
What does that mean?
I literally didn't answer because I was like, I have nothing to say to that. I was like, what? Because like you had texted me and you're like, I just got to Twilight the Apprentice. And then like 15 minutes later, I got another text from you. I was like, Jim, what? Like, I was like, I am working on getting there. And it's just, what fun. And I was like,
yeah, it's,
okay.
It's kind of when he finds his voice again.
Yeah, and then he's so excited. It's adorable.
I get a text
He's
half
so
an hour later
precious.
with, what fun, all in caps.
Yep.
I was like, this is my new favorite thing. Like, and I said in my presentation that I spoke about on the Darth Maul slide, I called him silent but deadly because in Phantom Menace he has 2 lines.
Yep.
And those lines are, at last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi, at last we will have our revenge, and yes, my master. And that's it. That is all we got from this guy. And now he won't shut up, and it's the best. Like, it is just the best. And he's so funny the whole time, and I could not tell you, even in this moment, whether he's acting the whole time or whether he's slowly finding himself, like, in this moment, because he has to. Because he finally has, like, something to do besides, like, either run from the Inquisitors or be in this pit where no one can find him. You know what I mean? Like, it's one or the other, where he's still, I think, figuring himself out in those moments. And it's just fascinating to me how sincere he comes across, even when he reveals who he is. Like, afterwards, when he's, like, working with Ezra and, like, telling Ezra what to do and, like, appealing to everyone's better judgment and this, that, and the other thing. He comes across so sincere until he says, "You mean my apprentice?" And I'm like, dang it. Like, it was
that's
so
why
close.
There is a sincerity there.
He is being sincere.
Everything about moving through that temple, you need to. No more, no less.
Yeah.
He needs someone to come along. He has, so yes, he needs to work with Ezra and can't betray him.
Yes.
But there is a special interest there, and everything he's telling Ezra is not a lie.
You're right.
And it's not that he's hiding his nature. He's saying you need to use your anger.
Yeah,
he's saying
real,
that,
you
need to channel that. You can learn to open this, like, this can only be opened by a Sith or those that can channel such power.
Yes.
And also, I can pop it in this little keyhole here and open doors.
Isn't that cool?
But like at no point is he lying to Ezra.
He never lies once. Like,
well,
I
question
transparent.
That because when they get on the little elevator thing and he's like, only 2, no more, no less, I'd be like, there's clearly room for more people on this. Like,
yes, but it's the Sith.
Just shimmy,
it's always 2.
Just
shimmy
over. Shimmy over. Like, come, just give a little space. Like, not stand in the middle of the elevator.
Maybe it wouldn't work
I
if
think
there were more than 2 people on that. Because it's
the
Sith.
Star Wars logic, the lift would not go. The temple would stop it.
I think he's...
But he wants to make sure that him and Ezra are the first 2.
Yeah, he's very, like...
And we don't get to see him and Ahsoka ride the lift up afterward.
No.
Would have loved to have been part of that conversation.
Would have loved that.
So, went down after Mandalore.
What happened there?
What'd you get up to?
Yeah, well, what have you been doing?
I had to bury 1,000 soldiers that had my face printed on their helmet. How'd you
He was like,
it?
I started... okay. Like, he probably would have been like...
I ran a crime ring.
I did that and did some weird stuff. But no, it's so good. He's so good. And Sam Witwer is an angel on this planet. And he's so good at what he does.
So we are running super long, but I do want to talk about the Vader and Ahsoka at the end.
First, Vader's baller entrance.
Vader riding in on a TIE fighter. I'm like, yes.
Whoa.
Now, is that on autopilot or is he controlling it by the Force?
The Force, I think.
Does it
matter?
But
here's what's funny.
It doesn't.
Here's what's hilarious. I was like, oh no. I just started going, oh no. Because I was like, Ahsoka's coming. Oh no. Like, I knew what was about to happen. Even though I didn't know it was about to happen. And,
because at the end of Shroud of Darkness, she has that vision of Anakin speaking, and there's very cool use of Anakin and Matt Lanter coming back to voice him with the training video, and then his apparition kind of coming back to guilt her, which is her own guilt for, I guess, her leaving of the Order.
Yeah.
And the transformation to Vader. Somewhere she knows that it's him, refuses to believe it.
Well, she knew it was him in the first 2 episodes of the season. Like,
right, she felt him because her eyes opened. Oh my God!
One of the aggressive. It was so good.
One of the best line deliveries. The apprentice lives.
Yeah. I
was like, oh no.
Yeah, that's not good.
Oh, acknowledgement.
Yeah, it's not good.
And then, so she shows up. They have their, back and forth. He says, like he did with
everyone else ever.
Right, and with his conversations with Luke before revealing him, or I guess around Luke, before revealing himself as Luke's father, and all the conversation about how Darth Vader destroyed or killed Anakin. Yeah. And he says, Anakin Skywalker was weak and so I destroyed him.
Yeah. And
she goes, I'll avenge his death. And part of it is like, okay, she could take that at face value. She probably doesn't. Why would she?
Well, I think she did at that point.
I think she does. Because I'm sitting there going, oh, she doesn't know. Like the whole time she's like fighting him and she's like, I'm like, oh, she doesn't know, she doesn't know, she doesn't know. And then she slashes him across the helmet and we get the voice distorted and we hear like Anakin's actual voice and see half of his face, and like for a second he says like her name and it's like, ooh, he's still in there, and it's like the first hint we get of that,
and she immediately changed,
and she's like, oh,
tactics. She's like, we can both leave here. It wasn't I need to defeat you, it was an immediate switch.
And she says, I'm not gonna leave you again, which is like, ooh. And it's just like this beautiful. I loved also Ezra's like joke where he's like at some point like, I need to train more.
Yes, that's right.
Like such a nice way to cut that tension. It was brilliant. It was just brilliant. And of course she doesn't leave him, and of course she dies.
She dies. Oh,
and
she dies.
I immediately was like, I said to you, this was so good. I wish we had been recording it, because I was like, well, I know she's fine because she's in The Mandalorian. And he just goes,
I was like, no, she did. Like,
she's not
pretty
fine.
Sure she walks into the darkness there and dies.
And I was like, no. And then like, yeah. And I was like, no. I'm so confused. Like, in this moment right now, I am.
Well, it was one of those.
Most confused.
At the time, we're like, wait, what just happened?
She's dead. Yeah.
Like, but all you get is that triangle, the doorway of the Sith Temple, and it's like people looking like, is she there? Like, you can see what looks like her for a second, and then nothing, and so like like, wait. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, and this all makes sense because you were like, you're going to be confused. And
that's 100% it. Yeah.
And I am. Yeah, I'm so confused.
Because you know too much is the problem.
I do know too much. Yeah.
But it does set up a lot of interesting things with Ezra opening the Sith holocron at the end.
Yeah. Hello? So cool.
The Thunderdome shot of Vader leaving the temple. So it's like, like one made it out. And if one made it out,
she did.
It's pretty doubtful they both just walked away from that fight.
No.
She kind of did, because she walks into this cave. We don't know where that is.
And then just seemingly falls down.
But they come back. Rex kind of acknowledges on his face, like, oh, snap. Like, she went with you guys and didn't come back. That is...
not good.
Like, Ahsoka never fails to come back.
Yeah, she always
comes back. It's not that she was left there or said, I'll find my own way. That's trouble.
Which was said multiple times this season.
Yeah.
It
does happen a lot. Listen. I love the whenever they get separated. So there's the scene in the honorable ones when Callus shows up. He's sprung a trap, and Zeb is just like, "You guys just leave. I got an escape pod." And you're like, "Oh man, they always have a way out, don't they?" Like
they really do.
They never all need to leave on the Ghost.
No. Chopper gets fully left behind and has to like go through a whole journey to get back.
That is hilarious.
Like, where the hell is Chopper?
It wasn't. I watching it this time. I'm like, did they leave and like not realize he wasn't on the Ghost? And then they're having the conversation. It's like, oh no, I know he's not there.
Yeah.
Harry's like, so mad. She's like, I don't care.
We told him not to leave. And he left for that damn leg.
Yeah.
And thank God he did. Because they would have...
Yeah, they would all die.
They would have died.
Well,
thank you, Alan Rickman Robot.
And it's so...
Right? I was like, is that Alan Rickman? It's not.
No, it's
but
not.
He sounds like
He
Alan
intentionally
Rickman.
channeled... I think the idea was like channeling an Alan Rickman voice, and also the tie to Alan Rickman in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy as the kind of like sarcastic, pithy, emotionless robot.
It's just funny that then you get an R2 and C-3PO, but different.
Yeah,
that's probably that was a little too much for me right at
I
the
agree.
end.
The voice is distracting. I don't mind AP5, and I think it's a decent story of like
I like him.
Chopper is leading a droid rebellion right now. He's freeing the droids.
Yeah, it's like
I love the episode that last 2 seconds, 5 seconds of them becoming 3PO.
Of their back and forth.
Yeah, and I'm like,
yeah.
That's too much.
I didn't need that.
Yeah, exactly.
It is, but I do like that sometimes you can tell exactly what Chopper is saying.
Oh, it's the
and
best.
you can't with R2 because it's just beeps and boops.
I love how
but
they
Chopper
sometimes subtitle him.
Yes,
like it'll say uh-oh.
Yeah.
Instead of just
or oh no, like they've done that.
Like
great.
Chopper will speak,
and he like flat out swears.
Yes.
Oh yeah, he does. I love.
I imagine every sentence Chopper says has some kind of
expletive.
Yeah.
Do you
have a little tauntaun.
Nicole? Have you noticed that who they list as Chopper on the credits?
Himself.
Yeah.
Chopper as himself.
Do you know who voices Chopper?
Who voices Chopper?
Do you want to know, or do you want to wait? Because they say it on the final episode of the season.
Yeah, the last episode they credit him.
No, tell me. You've told me before.
No, I don't think I have.
Yes, because I was looking specifically for Chopper as himself because you had mentioned it to me.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yeah, but you told me, but I forget.
Do you want it?
Yeah, tell me.
It's
Jim. Do you want it?
It's Dave Filoni.
Is it Dave Filoni?
It is,
I
Dave
love
Filoni.
Dave Filoni so much.
And that's how you know that Chopper's 100% coming back to live action.
Oh yes, I love that. I love it so much.
I mean, they all have to.
Yeah.
Did they cast Sabine for the?
They did.
Ahsoka show?
Maybe.
Kind
it's
of.
a rumor.
It's rumored.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
She has to come back based on how the show ends up.
Great.
Yes, 100%.
No, it's. Listen.
Okay.
To wrap up, finally,
we need to.
Twilight of the Apprentice broke me. I don't know who I am anymore. I loved it. I loved every second of it. It was heartbreaking. It was so good. You got the show of the year watching.
I did. I did not know that she'd never seen.
It was
because last time after we did Force Awakens, when we went and had lunch and we were talking about Rebels and how I think had started watching at that point.
Yes.
And I just kind of figured by now you would have finished it.
Nope. Because as soon as we said we were doing this, I waited because I wanted to
do it in real time.
Now I'm gonna start season 3 so that by
season 3
in 2
does
weeks
not
from
let
now.
They don't make you wait for nothing in season 3.
I'm gonna probably. My plan is to finish it in 2 weeks. I'm gonna finish it tomorrow, I'm sure. But my plan is to kind of watch that. I won't start season 4 until we talk about season 3. So that's kind of
season 4 is shorter.
3 weeks' time.
Season 3 is 22, and I think season 4 is 15 again. Yeah. So it's.
I think you're right.
It's a little more.
Check it out.
Like 2 weeks to watch 22 episodes is a lot easier than.
Oh yeah, and then,
5 days.
My plan is to.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm looking at the titles for 4, and just remembering a lot of what happens.
I'm excited.
I love this show for a reason, and
it does as it goes on, you just get so much richer history of the characters, even more than Sabine has this incredible arc.
Yeah,
we barely talked about her in this season, and it's really she's not there that much, but next season she skyrockets.
Yeah, and there's the Fen Rao episode is kind of her setup of where she's going from here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And her relationship to Mandalorian honor and culture, and how that, obviously a very big part of the Mandalorian way, as we learn.
This is
and her past with we talked about her before.
Satine?
No, Satine and Sabine. Oh God, both Oh man.
Yes.
I never put that together.
Yeah.
That's funny. No, the bounty hunter.
Her name.
Ketsu.
Yes.
She's great.
Voiced by
that
Gina
character.
Torres of Firefly.
Love that.
Oh, I didn't
character.
catch that.
I thought she was great.
Yeah, I recognized the voice and I was like, that. And I looked it up. Yeah, they did not miss out on the voice talent for Rebels, man.
No, they didn't. They really didn't.
All right.
So yeah. Oh, just good.
Excellent
good.
stuff.
It's all good.
This is
it's all great.
Super long episode, but
20 minutes
I
of it
said,
was Nicole eating granola.
Yes, I needed to eat in the middle of it.
Trying to fit a whole season of this show into one episode was a lot, And
I mean, especially with Twilight of the Apprentice,
we'll have to circle back around at some point in the future to more focus on the episodes a little finer.
I think you have to return to it by the end of Rebels.
Pretty much, yeah.
So, all right. With that, we'll wrap up. If you would like to get a hold of us, you can reach us Talkin Tauntauns at AIPTcomics.com. Email us there. You can find us on Twitter at Talkin Tauntauns. Leave us a 5-star review. Join our Patreon on AIPTcomics.com, where you can join in the fun on our Discord channel and chat with us in real time or
pretty much
real time-ish.
I kind of only participate if I'm tagged, so if you're looking for me, tag me.
I didn't even know you were there. Okay,
Discord.
I'll just.
Yeah, I'm in the Discord.
I'm just gonna keep. I'm gonna tag
tag
Nicole
so
on
much.
every.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna leave so many Nicole comments.
Great.
So, leave us a
my
5-star.
username on there is Gabangul. So good luck figuring that one out.
Leave us a 5-star review. Share us with a friend. All that good stuff. We love it.
And thanks, Alex.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Thank you for
awesome.
coming
I'm
on.
sure I'll be back again.
Always a fun conversation. You are the reason we are so long.
Yes, I know. I'm sorry. I have emerged with another Star Wars shirt.
My mouth.
I have a third one on deck if I come back again.
Wait.
Yeah, that's
We like this thing, this design apparently.
Very nice.
Yeah,
I thought that was funny.
I will come back whenever you will have me.
Sounds good.
If ever JJ wants to miss another episode,
well,
he's having a baby, so
it's
good for him.
Well, he's not physically having the baby, but his wife is.
What, really? Whoa!
Yeah, but they're having a baby.
That's
nice.
Great.
So we're gonna have some vacancies.
He's got life stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will definitely have vacancies.
So,
oh my God.
With that, we'll see you again next week.